713 to the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and Onyx, flying rider. I get those goosebumps every time.
Newcastle United.
I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, we can throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the mugs. Yes, sir.
Oh, hello. Well, welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. We're not expecting to be live tonight at all, but as we always say, we will react when there's something to react to, and there is something to react to tonight. Absolutely. So, look, welcome to everyone in the chat. We've got nearly 300 in the chat. 6 minutes past 10 on a Thursday evening. We appreciate you and thank you for watching. Make sure you get those likes up. Make sure you're doing all the good stuff that we always ask you to do. And of course, not really had a chance to speak to you boys before we went live, but Daz, Chris, how are we on this fine Thursday late night edition?
All good. Been an interesting day. Look, we'll talk about other topics as well that are on everyone's mind. But no, apart from that, no, it's really kicking off in Newcastle circles. So yes, we have to talk about that as well. So here we go. It's coming soon. That word "imminent" is back. Everyone's favorite word. Chris, how are you?
I'm all right, yeah. I mean, like 10 minutes ago, I was going to bed, and then I checked my WhatsApp. I've been watching Squid Game with downstairs. I've been watching Squid Game, and then all of a sudden, I checked my phone, and I was like, "Hang on a minute, what's going on here?" And my phone buzzes all the time. You boys know, I never have my phone on noisy because my phone just constantly pings. So it vibrates a lot, but I just assume it's the various different group chats, and I'm looking, and I'm like, Loaded Mag group chat, what's going on here? And then I opened it and it was like, we're going live at 10 o'clock. I was like, fucking hell. So I'm good, boys. Yeah, I'm good. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit intrigued to see, the picture of the updates. Because like I say, I found out about 11 minutes ago. So but I'm very good. Pete, how are you doing, fella? You good?
Yeah, very good. Cannot complain. We did say when we did our show that we were looking to see what Newcastle United would do in the transfer market. We said, hopefully we see you soon.
We did.
For more news. And absolutely, we have got that news. But of course, we have to, because the world of football has been reacting to the really, really sad news. Horrible, shocking news that nobody wants to hear is that the passing of Diego Costa of Liverpool Football Club, Portugal international. You've seen the respects being paid across the whole of football with regards to this man. The circumstances are heartbreaking for everyone involved. And yeah, we thought it was only right. Although we're excited and happy to talk about positive news for Newcastle United, it was only right to show our respects initially. But boys, chip in, please, with your thoughts about this horrible situation.
Absolutely tragic. Like you put it in our chat this morning, Pete, and just like death is always sad, but then you read more of the story about him getting married and his kids and his new wife, and it's just absolutely tragic. And we had been talking about him yesterday evening as well, to make it even just kind of. It was just an absolute shock, really. But It is great to see the football community. I don't know if you got the chance to read Arnie Scott's piece, it was just a great tribute to him, and I know Klopp come out as well, and all his teammates. But it just kind of brings it home as well. I know we all love football, we all love Newcastle, but it's only a game at the end of the day. Even this talk about signings and the things that drive us, keep us up late at night. What is it? It's only a game, and there's more important things to it. But Chris, you're in the heart of Liverpool there. Must be what's your take on things?
It's just so sad, isn't it? It's absolutely tragic. It's sent shockwaves through the city. I'll be honest. Like, everyone's just been absolutely devastated over it, and it's so sad. I mean, it's never nice when you hear of someone passing, but when you hear it in such tragic circumstances, and he's only a young lad, isn't he? He's 28. So yeah, it's not nice at all. But yeah, obviously, as I know, we sent a tweet out earlier, just to say, obviously, best wishes and sending much love and all that to family and friends and stuff like that. But yeah, it's never nice. But as you say, Daz, moments like this, that it brings a little bit of perspective, doesn't it? And it makes you think, do you know what? Like, there's more to life than sports and rivalry and stuff like that. Like, things like this are just absolutely awful. But yeah, I was really saddened. It brought back memories of previous players who passed away suddenly. The likes of Chakotay, the likes of Emiliano Sala. Loads. There's loads. Mark Vivian Foe. Loads of different players. That's so sad. It really is. And yeah, I like you say, Daz, because we were talking about him last night. It was a bit surreal. Waking up to that news this morning. But yeah, obviously, as I say, condolences to the family and all the loved ones and friends. But yeah, really sad.
Absolutely. And look, no doubt the footballing world will pay their respects for him. I know the women's Euros have paid their respects tonight, Portugal against Spain, and it will continue to happen. And I'm sure, and I know for a fact, that Newcastle United won't let us down with regards to when we play them the second game of the season.
Yeah.
I'm sure War Flags will be working on something. I'm sure the club will be working on something. I know they'll have obviously a big thing first game of the season at Anfield. But yeah, look, the football world won't let him down because he was a top player. And yeah, he'll deserve a very sort of well-deserved sort of send-off from a footballing perspective when that time comes. Absolutely. So yeah, really sad news. And look, it won't be the last time it will be spoken about. That's for sure. And he won't be forgotten. However, we are here to talk Newcastle United. We are here to talk transfers. And there has been movement, guys. There has been movement. The all-important movement that we were looking to see. Now, we knew and we talked about the interest in Anthony Elanga when we talked about it last night in a piece that Craig Hope had put out, and saying that we're looking at potentially making an offer, or the offer is here. It is an improved offer, 55 million. And it looks like it is going to be done. But it all started, we have to sort of acknowledge this. It started, and a few people have acknowledged this tonight. It started with Lee Ryder. Lee Ryder the other day mentioned that Newcastle had submitted a new bid and it hadn't really come from anywhere else. And a few people have been sort of tipping their hat to Lee Ryder of the Chronicle for that. But as it's come out tonight, absolutely, that Craig Hope has reported that Newcastle United are on the verge of potentially securing a deal for Anthony Elanga. It did come in as a bit of a shock to us. We weren't expecting it to be happening at this point. But not only that, an agreement is very, very close, as he is reporting tonight. So it seems like things are moving on very, very quickly. Not only that, they're even talking about percentages, boys. So understanding that Man United will receive an estimate of the 15% of any profit from the sale of Elanga, and he was signed for 15 million initially. Others have reported on this too. Mark Douglas has reported on it, talking about a breakthrough. Interesting that he might not be the only signing through the door. And then with Ben Jacobs as well, talking about an advanced deal with that, along with Fabrizio Romano, who actually initially put that information out there for everybody to discuss. And I think I've got that here because he's the one that started it off tonight in particular with that potential deal. And he made out that he got the exclusive, which he did because the bid has gone in. Boys, what are your opinions on this situation with Anthony Elanga? And could these be the duo that we want to see next season, working together, creating, assisting, and scoring many goals for Newcastle United? What are your thoughts on this, boys? I've got to say, I'm a little bit excited. I'm a little bit excited about this, but I'll explain why when I get to my point. But Daz, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. If those two boys are rocking up to my door to put together some IKEA stuff, I'm a happy camper because it can be a nightmare putting together some of those things sometimes. But delighted. Look, I've said it for a while that I think Elanga would be a good signing for us. We did kind of roll back a small bit when on our talks on the feed when we thought and still think that what we can spend isn't as potentially as much as we originally thought. So we still didn't put us off wanting Elanga. Actually this evening, as we do with a load of players, we have a little look on YouTube and the Dinners Wise videos, and I put on. We all know Elanga. We all know what he can do from watching him in the week in and week out in the Premier League. But just let's watch a little video of Elanga. So I watched one of those with my boy this evening, and his reaction is he's pretty good. And he is pretty good. He's rapid. He gets the crosses and the amount of assists he's got this season as well, setting up laying things in the play, and set pieces, I guess more so than anything else. And that's the speed of our attack going forward. We already know, we talked about it a lot yesterday evening about the bonding that's there with the Sula and with the Isak as well. I just think it'll be seamless transition in. So that's good. Because we didn't get people, but we haven't been getting players, haven't got anyone players as early as we thought. So at least I think that would be comforting that he can slot straight in there. But no, happy that it's going in the right direction. There's nothing done yet, but drops in the next couple of minutes or so. But we just need that first signing though. It's been so long that we've had a proper signing, and this could kickstart our summer.
Absolutely, Chris. We've heard it all coming through. We even got to the point where we got the Ornstein update tonight. Ooh. So it's all come through. Did I have it? I did have it. I didn't even put it up.
It is.
So we got the Fabrizio Romano exclusive. We got the Ornstein updates. We know this is kosher. We know that it's in play at this moment in time. And I'll just read it because I didn't put this up earlier. Newcastle are pushing to secure the deal of Anthony Elanga. The new bid is 50 million plus bonuses, and gives a little bit of context to that. Newcastle's efforts to finalise the deal are ongoing, and work also needed on the player side. I'll ask you a little bit about that actually, because Wolfie, who's in the chat, hi Wolfie. Hope those tears are not too heavy on the face that might be dropping soon. But look. Interesting that the deal is 50 million plus, and also some work on the player side. Now, Wolfie seems to have an opinion that that we need to convince Anthony Elanga to come to Newcastle United. I'll repeat that. Wolfie thinks that we need to convince Anthony Elanga to come to Newcastle United. That's his opinion. What are your thoughts on first? Wow, the 50 plus million potential deal, and those thoughts on Elanga needing to be convinced. Tell us how you're feeling, fella.
Okay, so I've got to tread carefully here because I don't want to come across as a complete flip flop. So I'll start with the not negatives, but the concerns that I had, and I say had. So I still feel 55 million is a lot for Anthony Elanga. I still think for that amount of money, maybe I would have looked elsewhere. But now I'm going to head on to the positives, right? We've been starved of a first team ready player for a number of years, which sounds really sad to say, doesn't it? Is Anthony Elanga an upgrade on Jacob Murphy? I think he is. He's quick. He pulled up really good numbers last season. And also, which I think is probably the most exciting thing for me, he's 23 years old and there's definitely room for development. And I think the best person to develop him is Eddie Howe. And the fact that Eddie Howe is so keen on him then elevates me. And I'm like, right, okay, give us an extra 10 million. And then that elevates me. That makes me even more convinced, even more excited. And I'm not going to lie, boys, I am excited. I am excited by it because we've been starved of, bringing in new players. And when you're spending significant money like this, if you're buying a player for 50 plus million, it would be wrong not to be excited. And let's be honest, in the past, we've signed players and I've been a little bit, would I have bought him or would I have spent that much on him? And as we've spoken about many times on this channel, like Eddie Howe isn't to be questioned. So I think it's exciting. I'm really looking forward to hopefully, getting the deal over the line. And I think he's going to be great. And I suppose there's a little added extra to that. We know that he's obviously very close friends with the likes of Will Asula, but more importantly, Alexander Isak. And I think bringing in one of Alexander Isak's close friends and international colleagues is very, very wise. I think it's a very wise decision from Eddie Howe and the club. And we've spoken about Eddie, wanting to bring in Premier League ready players. This is a Premier League ready player who has done very, very well last season. He played for a club in Nottingham Forest who were impressing everybody, and his stats, his numbers matched up to most in the Premier League last season. So if I weigh it up, I'm far more in the positive than I am maybe the slightly negative. And like I say, I have complete trust in Eddie Howe. So I am very excited, and I think once it's all confirmed, all those negatives will go to the back of my mind. But I wanted to put that out there because I know there's still a little bit of skepticism in the chat, and I do recall I will admit that I have my doubts. So I didn't want to come on here and say, oh, he's the best right winger in the league, and I'm made up we sign him. I've always wanted him, because that isn't the case. But I am very excited, and I am really looking forward to it. Now, in terms of convincing him, that I am absolutely sure of. I don't think it's going to take a lot of convincing. I think Anthony Elanga would drive up to Newcastle right now, given the opportunity. Maybe the Forest fans don't want to hear that, but I think Anthony Elanga cannot wait to join Newcastle United. Because let's be honest, we had NFFC 2000 in the chat last night, and he said, "Where's your European Cups?" and stuff like that. Where we are as a football club right now, where we're going into next season in terms of Champions League football, it's a no-brainer. I'm sorry, Forrest, it's a no-brainer. He's going to want to come and play Champions League football, and he's going to want to play alongside his international teammates. So I would be absolutely horrified if we got round the negotiating table and Anthony Elanga priced himself out of a move, or Anthony Elanga turned around and said, "Actually, I don't fancy it. I'm going to stay with Forrest."
250k.
I really, really would be surprised. I don't think it'll take much persuasion. But yeah, I wanted to kind of give a balanced report, because I didn't want to, as I say, come in and go, "Oh, he's brilliant," and then people go into me, "Chris, you weren't saying that a few weeks ago." So, I'm not 100% on it, but I'm 85-90% on it, is what I'd say. But Pete, what are your thoughts?
I'm happy. I'm happy if we can get this deal done at 55. I said right at the beginning, right at the top, and I think we've all said it actually. Anthony Elanga's a good player. He's a good player. Nobody on this panel, nobody said at any point that he's not a good player. He is a good player. My only concern was I did not want to be paying 60+ million for him. That's the thing that I've been adamant on right from the get-go. I've said it to Wolfie. I've said it to you boys. I've said it on this channel. I didn't want to be paying 60+ million for him because I didn't think he was worth it. I had my value of a winger. I had him 35-40 for Anthony Elanga. The kind of the value of wingers this summer, as you can see, as we've already seen, are very, very high. So we're always going to overpay. And I did say that I think, although my value was a lot less than that, I did say that I think Newcastle would go and pay the money for him, regardless of what my opinion is, regardless of what Chris's opinion is, and regardless of what Daz's opinion is, and everyone else in the chat. I thought that Newcastle United would pay, and they have. They've put another bid in, 55 million or 50 million plus 55 all in, and it seems like the deal is close. Now, I'm excited for a couple of reasons. I'm excited because finally, it looks like we're finally getting a first team ready player into this club, which I think every Newcastle fan is happy about right now. Finally, we're getting a player that can come in and start and be a guy for Newcastle United. Secondly, as you touched on, Chris, we had a chat after the show last night. Bringing in Anthony Elanga, who's a Swedish international, good friend of Alexander Isak, could only be a good thing if we're trying to convince Alexander Isak to sign a new deal and stay at Newcastle United. You touched on it, Chris, and you said it was a smart move. It is a very smart move if you're looking to convince him, because you're bringing in one of his boys. Secondly, what you are doing, in my opinion, this is no slant on Jacob Murphy because he had an excellent season. What you've got is a 23-year-old that is producing quality on the pitch, not just as an individual, but as a team player, both defensively, attackingly, and creatively. His assists last season, which were 11, a lot of them from set pieces, and a lot of them were direct into Chris Wood, the main man. Now, we've got a main man that likes to score goals too. And I think having an upgrade on that right wing of Anthony Elanga, 23 years old, rapid, can whip a ball in, great delivery, is only a good thing for Alexander Isak. He'll be rubbing his hands together at the thought of getting on the end of some of the deliveries that he can put in. And it's about time that we have two right wingers that can deliver a ball really, really well. So that's no slant on Murphy, but it's a great upgrade as well. Another thing as well, I mentioned this to you boys last night. People have been lost on this. Anthony Elanga has Champions League experience. He's played Champions League football for Man United as a young lad. So he knows and he's performed on the highest level. I said to you boys, the goal against Atletico Madrid away in the Champions League a few years ago. Anyone that's not seen it, go back to that. Superb finish. I thought he was brilliant that night. So he's got the pedigree to play at the level that we want him to play at. And getting in players that have Champions League experience is really important. Now, for me, I think if we can get this deal, 55 million all in, rubber stamped, agreed, and get him in, I'm not interested in convincing the player. We don't need to convince him. For me, I think the part that Ornstein mentioned earlier was this work also needed on the player side. That's not convincing the player, in my opinion. That's just sorting out wages and financials. That's the easy stuff, in my opinion. That's the stuff that's like not a formality. In fact, I think it was either Craig Hope or Mark Douglas said in their piece that wages aren't even going to be a problem. So for me, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, yeah, this is the right deal. And the last thing for me, boys, it's an Eddie Howe player. If Eddie Howe wants him, who am I to argue? Who am I to argue? Who am I to go, it's too expensive? If Eddie Howe wants him and he's willing to put that money down, who am I to complain? Like, he's done it before with Sven Botman. He's done it before with Bruno Guimaraes. He's done it before with a big spend out of Alexander Isak. They've all been successes. Sandro Tonali, all been successes. So who am I to argue that? If he wants him, if he thinks he's the guy and he's the main target, I'm cool with it. So that's where I am right now, boys. That's how I'm feeling. I'm excited about this. Forget the fee, forget what we said previously. We're getting a player in, a good player, a Premier League player that can come in straight away and do the job. We should be excited about this. We should be happy. We should be looking forward to this, regardless of what's been happening before, regardless of what's been said before. We're getting a good player coming into this squad that's going to make this squad and this team better.
And Pete, just to add a little touch on what the three of us have said.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of that we've missed, and I'm sure you'll all agree, everyone in the chat will agree, what this does is it shows ambition. It shows the existing crop of players. Oh, we're serious. If you go and drop £55 million on a new player, automatically we're excited. Imagine how excited the existing squad are, and they're thinking, "Oh, okay, fresh player in." And with him, Anthony Elanga, he'll bring a different perspective. He'll bring a freshness. He'll bring, enthusiasm, and that will be infectious on the squad. And the squad, so the likes of Alexander Isak, Anthony Gordon, Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, Sven Botman, they'll all be looking, going, "Ooh, maybe we're having a go. We're having a go this window. Brilliant. Who's the next one?" And then all of a sudden, you bring in 3, 4, 5 top players that will breed confidence going into the season. And then I think you're going to see a rejuvenated, really up for it Newcastle United next season. Because how many times, boys, over the last 3 or 4 transfer windows have we said we need fresh blood? The players look tired. They look like they're running on empty. Sometimes bringing in a new player, bringing in a new personality, like I spoke about before, it's going to rejuvenate the squad, the existing squad, and it's going to make players go, "Oh, something's going on here. I want to make sure I stick around for this. This is exciting," and that is another key part for it for me.
Yeah. Right, boys. We've heard what we said. Let's hear something from the chatters, and actually chatters as well. Smash that like button and keep it respectful in the comments as well. I know some of the mods are in contact over that. But Minnesota Mag, he says, buzzing. His rapid work ethic will be outstanding in Howe's 5-5-0 formation. Oh, yeah, that one 5-5-0. But thanks, Minnesota Mag. Tom Marsden says, pumped if this comes through. Finally, a right winger. We'll chuck you guys a $5 for every signing we make this summer. So we're up for $5, lads. So long as it's not. I'm with you.
Top man.
We don't want it if it's Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Tom. That's definitely one we don't want to see. But cheers, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Also, the crypto FFTV goes, not good if Elanga leaves. Can't be a Nuno decision. I think it's a push from Elanga himself. Maracanakis wouldn't want to disrupt the squad by selling him. Interesting from Forest Fans TV Crypto there on that one. And Jonathan says...
It's almost like he's been making it very clear he wants to join Newcastle.
A bit like what we said yesterday, but we had a good conversation on that one yesterday, of course. And Jonathan wants to know, has anyone done a wellness check on Wolfie? Well, Wolfie is in the chat. I'm sure you've got to check on him there yourself. And yes, we can confirm, Wolfie, Pete is very excited.
He knows. He was straight onto it when it broke. When Fabrizio Romano put that tweet out, he was straight on it. Like, just as we were, he was bang on it. And like, look, he's still not convinced. He's still not convinced. I even saved his tweet and put it on there. Still not enough. Keep trying. He's still not convinced it's going to be enough. He's trying to find reasons for it not to happen. Because look, for me, that makes me even more excited, because the Forest fans, and look, you're right what you said, Daz. We need to always be respectful. Of course, we might not like what each other fan bases say about each other's clubs and players, but that's part of the discussion. We're not always going to agree, but I think like Forest fans and Newcastle fans have always been relatively respectful anyway. So we always keep it that way. We've got good banter with people in the Forest fans in the chat, and we do the same when we go over to Wolfie's channel and Door's channel as well. Of
course,
with that. But look,
Pete, how about Man United fans? Are we respectful to them? Because we've got one in the chat. I don't know. He's looking for his money already. He's looking for his payout. Even Dan.
Only one Man United fan that we're respectful to, and it's that man right there. And look, if you haven't already, we'll give the plug now. Go and subscribe to Dan United. Talks all football, not just Man United. Great chat, great channel, great guy. It just makes sense, and he's only just started up. He's pushing towards 200 subs. Let's go and get him another 200 tonight. We've got 700 in the chat. Let's go and help him out and give him a sub. Massive.
And Wolfie and Dore as well. Give the boys
Wolfie and Dore, of course.
But the interesting thing actually kind of makes me even more excited because they don't want to lose him. They don't want to lose him because they know what type of player he is. So for me, I just the banter between those two is already kicking off. But they don't want to lose him. So that for me tells me how much they value him as a player, and I think it's exciting to see that deal potentially come to fruition. I think he's a player that will definitely make a big difference. But I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on sort of the Forest sort of fans' reaction to it. So obviously the fans are a little bit, up and down with regards to the situation. How are you feeling about this from a Newcastle perspective? The fact that I've said that I'm excited because they're disappointed and desperate not to lose him. Are you kind of feeling the same? Like, have I changed your opinions? Because Chris, you were kind of like a little bit mellowed out. You didn't want to kind of give too much away with regards to that. Are you feeling a little bit more excited now about this potential deal going through? And do we think we're going to get the Here We Go on Steam Bomber tomorrow? Do we think that's going to drop? Because we may have to rearrange our plans for Friday evening to come back again. Like, where are you boys at with that?
Okay, I'll answer first, Chris. I'm definitely excited for this one, Pete. I do feel for Forest fans in a way because I didn't hide the fact that I wanted, along with ourselves, I wanted Forest to get the Champions League last season. I was hoping they would, not at our expense, of course, and that'd be likewise for Forest as well. But I suppose this eases the blow of us getting one of their players. Look, if it was the other way around, we'd be pissed off as well. And we've had that in the past. Look at Andy Carroll sale, for example, or a number of players, Kabay down through the years, the ones that got away on us. But yeah, we're in a different ball game this time. Under this ownership, under this project, it's been slow recently, but yes, hopefully this is the kickstart now, and maybe even Trafford is not too far behind them, of course, and then we'll see where we go after that. But yeah, no, you didn't change Anthony Pete for me. No, I was already positive on this one. I just wanted to get it done and move on because I think we have an awful lot more to do and trading. And I'm also conscious that we're going to be the loaded holiday season is coming up, so I wanted to get something done before we trying to get on shows during our holidays.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was more, it was more for Chris because he kind of gave like a sort of like a generalized sort of balanced opinion. Like, you feeling? Now we've had a little bit of a chat about Anthony Elanga. We've talked about his positives. We talked about the fact that Forest don't want to lose him. Is that kind of giving you that little bit of a kick to go? Yeah, actually, I think this is something to get excited about.
Yeah, no. I think the more we speak about it, obviously, the more excited I am. And it's as I said earlier, it's more the fact that we're potentially looking like we're getting our first team signing in a very, very long time. And funnily enough, when Daz was answering the question there, it did give me flashbacks of Gordon, because I remember I was probably the least positive over the Gordon deal when that happened, and I had a lot of Everton fans in my DMs, in my text messages, everything, saying to me, "Oh, we've had your pants down, we've had your pants down." And I'll be honest, I was nervous because I was thinking from the what I've seen of Anthony Gordon, I wasn't wholly convinced he would be that much of a big success. And then obviously this Eddie Howe gets him under his wing and brings out the very best in Anthony Gordon. And I think there's even more to come. He's now become a full England international. He is included in squads now as a given, rather than when we first signed him. If you remember, he won the under-21 Euros, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he was coming in very much as a prospect to play with a decent future ahead of him. And now you look at where he is now, his standing in the game. Whenever you speak now about top left wingers in the Premier League, Anthony Gordon's name inevitably gets brought up. And that's credit to Anthony Gordon and Eddie Howe. And I suppose it's nice to actually see fans of the other club being a bit jealous, a little bit evil-eyed. That does give me positive feelings about the signing. And like I say, we've been desperate, boys, for the right winger, absolutely desperate for the right winger. And if we finally get one over the line, and a player who shouldn't take too long to settle, yeah, that's a very good point.
Don't know where he is. You'll be really excited. Someone else that's really excited, Daz, I'll just steal the chat for a second. Dennis is really excited. He'll say he'll have if I'm not going to read it, you can all just read it yourself. But yeah,
with you on Sky Sports, Pete. That's what Dennis waiting for.
Why did you say that, guys? Why did you say?
Well, especially that last one. That last one worries me a bit as well, because is that the first one in the last 4 transfer windows, Dennis? Now.
How are we talking about it here?
Welcome to Late Night Loaded.
Yeah, this is absolutely late night
loaded. Yeah, late night loaded. Yeah.
Unreal. Another thing to mention as well, and we didn't get to bring it up on screen last night, but we did talk about it. So I'll bring it up now in regarding Anthony Elanga, and it was this from Statman Dave. He said, over the last 2 seasons, Anthony Elanga has registered more league assists, 20, than Bukayo Saka, Cole Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, Lamine Yamal, Bradley Barcola, Kevin De Bruyne, and Nico Williams. No wonder everybody wants him. And people did. There was links with Arsenal. There was links with Villa more recently. Newcastle in for him. It's not because we got a free hit. So that was Charlie's first reaction. Oh, you got a free hit on him. Charlie and Don were already planning their assault on trying to scupper the deal. But look, boys, that stat there, I think that's superb. I didn't even realize it was that good in terms of you look at those quality of players that he's up against in the last 2 seasons. So it's not like over the last 5 or 10 games. That's 2 seasons worth of performances. Really impressive.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something that Eddie Howe has looked at as well. So yeah, we're getting a good player, boys. We're hopefully getting a good player. Hang on. Where's the team? No, it's a different player. Gabriel Heinze is joining Arsenal as a coach. Yeah. Who cares? We want a Langanger news.
Interesting one.
Langanger news now.
Yeah.
Love it. So look, where do we go from here then, boys? Anthony Elanga looks like it's close. Obviously, we'll wait for that confirmation with regards to deal agreed, Ornstein Bomber. The here we go. We're going to look for all of that in the next 24 hours or so. Hopefully, we can get that wrapped up. And hopefully, we can see Anthony Elanga returning to pre-season next week, wearing the black and white. Fingers crossed. But do you think this deal is going to be the snowball effect for other players now coming through? Because we've had a little bit where we've kind of been stumped with certain players. We didn't actually go in for Brian Mbeumo, but he was a key target for us. Liam Delap, João Pedro. It's kind of been a bit stop-start in this last month or so, and we've all kind of felt it as a fan base. Do you think now, boys, that this is going to be the catalyst to see almost like a conveyor belt of signings coming through? Because let's not forget, we mentioned we're not building 2 or 3 players for the first team. We're building a squad that's going to be big enough to fight on four fronts. Is this going to be the snowball effect, that's going to push us along into the summer, and we're going to see more and more signings coming about? Is this it now for you? Is this the one?
Has to be. There's no choice. We need signings in. We need to build the squad out. We're in the Champions League. What a great selling point that is as well. No, we have to get this one done. Or even if it's Trafford that gets done for, it doesn't really matter. But it does need to snowball now. We get Trafford over the line. We need to get looking at make up our mind and get a few bids in as well on right side of the centre back. I know there's a few more names mentioned today, and then see what we're doing with regards to a backup for Isak, and of course everyone's still looking at what's the story? Wilson, is he definitely gone? Is he gone? Do we have to wait till the 7th to find out for sure? So yeah, there's a lot of questions to be answered, as there always is in Newcastle. But in the next 4 days, I think we get more solid answers.
The reason why I asked it is because obviously, you would expect it to be the snowball effect, but could it be that the next signing, the centre back or the striker, we have a little bit of a stumbling block? That was kind of what I'm a little bit worried about. But what's next for you, Chris? What's next in terms of where would you target if we can get this Elanga deal sorted in the next 24 hours, as in deal agreed, everything in place? He travels to Newcastle, medical, all the rest of it. We know that's sorted. Where are you going next? Where are you targeting next? Are you looking to finalise the Trafford deal? Are you targeting a centre-back? Are you looking for the João Pedro replacement? Where would you go next once Elanga, fingers crossed, is through the door?
For me, I think I would go for the striker. And the reason I say that is because, and we've spoken about this previously on the Trafford deal, as much as I want the Trafford deal done and dusted, wrapped up, sealed, on the other hand, that's probably the safest of all the transfers we've been linked with, or the one that's kind of the worst kept secret, because we know Burnley are willing to sell. We know that Trafford wants to come. We know that Newcastle want Trafford. So it almost feels inevitable, that one. For me, I think going into next season with the prospect of, at this present moment, we don't know how it's going to finish, but at this present moment, we're going into the season with Alexander Isak and Will Asula. That's what we're going in with. And that's not enough. So for me, that is the priority. That is the next priority. The right winger was always number one priority for me, because we don't have enough options. And yes, you can shoehorn Anthony Gordon out there, and yes, you can shoehorn Harvey Barnes out there, but it's not a feasible solution throughout the season. You need another option other than Jacob Murphy on that right wing, and hopefully, if we get Anthony Elanga over the line, there's your option. And then quickly, I would move into the centre, and I'd be getting an option or an alternative to Alexander Isak. That should be the priority, in my opinion. You boys know how much I've wanted a new number one. I think you felt the same. So I am really hoping that we get James Trafford over the line. But as things stand right now, the priority for me is a striker.
Have you got a different priority in terms of who you're targeting, or are you alongside Chris with regards to the striker being the main focus? But on top of that question, Daz, another super chat in from Warren that says, hope Murphy doesn't feel his nose has been shoved out. He's been tops. That's an interesting point as well. Do you tell us where you think your target is next? But in terms of Elanga potentially coming in, do you think it's going to affect Murphy? Do you think he's going to embrace it? Or do you think he's going to be a little bit worried about his place in the team? How do you see that? So I think it's a valid point from Warren that you just made.
Yeah, let's go to Warren's point first. So, yeah, Murphy has had an unbelievable season. He's had an unbelievable year. He's after getting married as well a couple of days ago as well. On top of that, so he's had the year of his life, really. I suppose in a way, much like Josh had the year he's had, but we're in the Premier League as well. But let's keep it on track to Murphy. But yeah, no, look, I hope he just kind of takes it as a challenge. Look at Dan Burn. Every time someone comes in to challenge him, well, you think Dan Burn's going to be the one that steps down, but no, Dan Burn rises to the occasion and he gets even better. So I hope Murphy does that as well. And so it's a challenge down to him. I would imagine that Elanga will be our number one right winger, but it's there for Murphy to come off the bench and put doubt in Eddie's mind. And there's plenty of games as well, so that both of them will see plenty of game time. Then back to your question, and thanks Warren for the super chat, by the way. Then back to your other question about the priority next. Look, yeah, I know what Chris is saying. I agree that we need some kind of cover for Isak, and it's a joke. We cannot go into next season and not having some kind of cover in a striker capacity. Whether that is going to be Asula, I don't know. I think we need someone else as well, or maybe Asula goes on loan. But for me, because we've got so far with the Trafford deal, we've been talking about it for over a year. I think it's just get it done, and move on. I don't think there's much left to get that one done as well. Much like the Elanga one, it was just hanging there as well. We've had to go with a bit more to get it done. I think we'll have to do the same with Trafford just to get it done over the line, and then we can solely focus on those, like the strike position and the right centre back, and our trading as well. So that's, I think, just give us what we want, get the signings moving now, and get going.
Give us what we want. Give us what we want.
Demanding, isn't it?
Yeah, give us what we want now. That's how it sounded. And I'm here for it. I'm not going to lie. We've waited long enough. Let's bring that player in. Big shout out to Michael McIntyre for your super sticker. Massively appreciated. Thank you for joining the chat, and hopefully enjoying the discussion around Elanga as well. Another question in, boys. I'll throw it to you. So we've just been having a conversation around strikers. So we've now got, fingers crossed, keep kind of having to catch myself. I'm already kind of convinced that he's already coming to the club. But when it comes confirmed, we've got Elanga and Murphy on the right-hand side. You've already touched on it. The forward line needs to be refined. Everyone keeps talking about, is he going? Is he not? Callum Wilson, for me, he's gone. Like, he's gone. He's moved on. I don't expect to see him back for preseason. If we do, it'll purely be to tick him over whilst he's finding a new club. So I'm not even going to get overly frustrated or stressed out on the back of that either. I'm not even getting into that. But Kenzie asked the question, who do you guys want as an alternative backup to Isak? Now, that's a really tough question. So I'll kind of refine that slightly. And I'll ask the question, do you think it will be a straight up striker, like for like, striker for striker, or does Eddie Howe go into his magic bag and pull out another João Pedro type player that can play in multiple positions? Because one thing we said on the previous show is that there's not a lot of that type of mold of player out there. So where do you think we're going to go in terms of getting that alternative striker, and who have you got in mind who it could be? Chris.
Very interesting question, because I've been consistent in the fact that for me, if I was Eddie Howe, if I was in charge, I would be looking for a like for like. Now, you're not going to be able to go out and buy another Alexander Isak as he is right now. I appreciate that, because that costs a lot of money. But what I mean is, I will be looking for a striker who has similar qualities to Alexander Isak. This is why I was so surprised that we went for Liam Delap. some people will say that we went for him because he had the 30 million release clause. Excuse me. And it was a deal far too good to pass up on. And I get that. And then obviously we saw the João Pedro links, and you're right, Pete. He would have really. João Pedro is quite unique, isn't he? Because he can play as a striker, he can play as a 10, he can play as a winger. A player like that would be absolutely brilliant. Almost like Julian Alvarez type player. I'm not suggesting we're going to get Julian Alvarez, by the way, before anyone jumps on me. But yeah, I think I would be going for an Alexander Isak type player, as in, that fluid striker who likes to come deep, very comfortable on the ball, drifts out wide. He's quite a mobile striker. I'd want like a mobile striker, a bit like Hugo Ekitike. I can completely see now we've got Alexander Isak. Why originally we wanted Hugo Ekitike. I completely get it. And also, boys, and maybe it's because I've been scarred this past season, I don't know, but seeing Callum Wilson up front in this new Eddie Howe team, like the drop off was just ridiculous. And I do believe that if Callum Wilson was in a different team this season, he probably would have fared better. I just think he struggled in this Eddie Howe team because he's not Alexander Isak, and unfortunately he never will be. He's just not that type of player, and I suppose that's why I'd rather take a risk on a bit more of a rough diamond or a raw talent in the hope that he can progress into an Alexander Isak than bring in a traditional, out and out goal scorer who maybe isn't right for the system. So that is what I would be doing. Appreciate, again, it's not easy. I'm trying to think of a player close to Alexander Isak who I haven't already mentioned. I mean, I've mentioned Julian Alvarez, I've mentioned João Pedro, I've mentioned Hugo Ekitike. It's difficult, isn't it? It is difficult.
Yeah, to find that type of player, it is difficult.
I'm going to say a player.
Go on.
And he is raw. And I've seen a few clubs or a few fans of clubs turn their nose up at him. I think I'd be going for Benjamin Sesko. That's who I think I'd go for.
Big bucks.
Big bucks. Big bucks.
What?
Well, I say big bucks. 50s, 50, 60.
You say, I mean, he is kind of big bucks, but 60 million would not saying 60 million would get him, but it would certainly offer a conversation. And if we're willing to be going to 50, 55 million for João Pedro, then who's to say that there's not the extra coffers in there to push it forward? And the one thing that's been mentioned, and Keith Downey mentioned it on his video as well, is that Newcastle United, if they feel they need to, they would put that extra money in if they feel the player's worth it. So it's not out the realms of possibility. Now, someone at BT's just put Victor Gyökeres in there. It's a player we discussed off air last night. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you're going to pay big bucks for a player, 62 million release clause, there's a potential there. Although I do think they want a little bit more. We're kind of looking fantasy of those two players, but they're if you're going to be ambitious, they're definitely two players that you want to be putting into your team. Just to kind of curb some opinions on things. I think Jonathan David's been mentioned, but he's about to do his medical with Juventus, so that one is definitely done. And Nick Voltermaid is he's buying bound. He's already pretty much done. We're buying, so they're ones we can tick off the list. Obafemi Martins, Foxy, no. He might still only be 28. But we're way past that now. So yes, not an option. But there's been some interesting options out there. Just before, actually, I was going to go straight to that man as well, the young Porto striker. But look, we know that Arsenal have to buy a striker. They're all over Victor Gyökeres, and Liverpool were talking about a striker
already. Okay, just let's put that out there as well, as we know to some degree. But so you imagine that both of them are going to go after a striker. And then it's the question of, are we going to go for someone in the mold of a João Pedro that can play in that kind of position? And then I mentioned Rodrigo Mora the other day, but there's talk of PSG and then a few more other big clubs looking at him. He's very young, 18-year-old, kind of attacking midfielder. Then as the comment come up, this I can never pronounce his name, Samu Aguilaru.
Agahawa.
That's him. The guy I mentioned back back a couple of weeks ago on our striker. We went in depth in strikers, and okay, they're talking about 100 million, but he's listed as about 50 million. And he looked. Check him out. He looked absolutely class and offers something different as well. I think it kind of reminds me a bit of. I think I said it at the time. A bit of a young Callum Wilson kind of thing, but he can do it a lot. A lot of things that Isak doesn't do, he can do, and I think we need someone that offers that something different as well. But I'm happy with whatever Eddie decides on this one. I think I trust him and what he's going to do. As long as but I don't trust him if he brings in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That's a no-no.
This, we've discussed Dusan Vlahovic and a few times. With Colin Moani looking like he's destined to go back permanently to Juventus, who was another player we were linked with. You're looking at that situation and you're thinking, well, they need to get rid of Vlahovic because he wants to leave. Could you get someone like that? Ramos, there's a high chance he leaves in this window. On a permanent deal, he'd be very expensive. I think that would probably be more likely to be a loan with a view. But two younger players with potential, and Chris, you talked about players with potential. Callum Mwande is a player that we've talked about before, who's getting a lot of interest in Europe, who's had a really good season. I think 20 goal contributions this season. And even Gessan as well, who's been mentioned at Nice. Someone's mentioned him in the chat. He's getting a lot more talk, not necessarily with us, but a lot of Premier League teams are starting to take interest in him. I think Forest were interested. I think Leeds were interested. I think Villa have been linked with him as well. He's had a great goal scoring season. I think he's got 22, 23 goal contributions this season as well. And, you're looking at those sorts of players. There is options at either end of the scale. Players that are ready to go, Champions League experience, being the guy, but also that young player that can be molded into something. So this is what, for me, it's really hard because I'll be honest with you, I've got no idea which way Newcastle United are going to go. Now the Pedro deal's gone, I've got no idea. So it's almost like a little bit, where are we actually going to go? But there's a part of me that's a little bit excited. Like, are we going to get a surprise here? Are we going to get someone that we're not expecting to be bang out the door and into the club? Colin Wani, absolutely. So, yeah, I'm excited about what Newcastle have got up their sleeve with this one, because I think it's going to be really, really interesting. Another super chat in there. Minnesota Mag has said, sorry, Daz, stole it for a second. Thank you, Minnesota Mag, again for another super chat. But I want Simmons. Leicester has a player there. There's a couple others, someone similar to Pedro. So you're talking about Belal El Kanous, who is attracting interest. A good young player. I think he's 21 years old. I think he's a Moroccan international, if I'm right in thinking. Good season, albeit Leicester are really poor. He could probably play that mold, to be fair, as the attacking midfielder, can play out wide. He does predominantly play more on the left. But, boys, are we thinking this Simmons deal is gone? We did touch on it in that he did mention, or it was reported, that he wasn't interested in a move to Newcastle. There's still Newcastle fans like Minnesota that have mentioned Simmons and are desperate to have him. Are we thinking that one's not likely going to happen this summer? Or are we still holding a little bit of hope? What do we think?
I don't know. It's getting never really picked up on Xavi Simmons. So I don't know. I don't see it happening. unless we get a blast of articles about him and linking us with him again. Yeah, I don't see it.
Chris, Simmons, is that one that maybe it's just a little bit too far for us in terms of being able to convince him? Or, are these reports even true? Like, we don't actually know. It's not been confirmed. Like, but in your mind, are you thinking maybe Simmons is the guy maybe that's not going to come to Newcastle?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Xavi Simmons, and I think he'd be a great player for Newcastle. But similar to Daz, I've probably ruled it out in my head. I've probably kind of gone, I just don't see it happening as much as I'd like it to. Yeah, I don't think our system's necessarily set up perfectly for him. I think that's the issue for me. He can play right wing, as we've discussed, but do you really want to play him right wing, particularly if you're going out and buying a first choice right winger? He is someone, I think, who in the main plays in the 10, could play in the 8, but then are you gonna drop Bruno for him? It's like, I think he would be a luxury player. No. He'd be a real luxury player. Yeah, exactly. And this is the problem, isn't it? And I think we're 4 or 5 years away from signing players like Xavi Simmons, where you look at Man City and they have their midfield free, and then you look on the bench and you're like, Jesus Christ, like, any of them three could come in and be just as good as the ones on the pitch. We're not there yet. We're just not there yet.
No, I think you're right. We mentioned it when we talked about it before. I said that Xavi Simmons would be very much be signed for the Champions League, to be the guy to make the difference in the Champions League. That's kind of where I see that signing. If you're looking in the Premier League, our structure is very, very set. 4-3-3, and you would be shoehorning him into the team if you're doing that. But still, you'd want to do it because he's so good. But another player that was mentioned that I talked about last night, maybe, or the night before, Charles de Ketelaere of Atalanta. He's the only one, really, and someone else pointed it out, but he seems to be the only one that has the skill set that can come in and do sort of what Pedro would have done if he signed for Newcastle, playing in a similar role, has the similar type of effect on games. There's maybe one or two others that can do it, because it's not just about playing the role, it's being effective in the role as well. And so I just think it's going to be really, really difficult to fit to fit that mold. So I don't know. I don't know is the answer. I don't know.
Just if you think back a couple of seasons ago, though, like the time we were going for Maddison, what was Eddie's thinking there? Was it just for that Maddison was someone he thought he could get to Newcastle, or because he's like, or was it to play Maddison on the right wing? I would put Maddison in kind of an attacking midfielder role. So, but he's never gone back to trying to get a player like that since, like a Maddison type player. Was
that the period, mate? And tell me if I'm wrong, but was that the period where Bruno had the release clause, and I think Newcastle were half expecting him to leave? Was it around that time?
I thought that was the Bruno release clause was after that. This is kind of like it was kind of a year before, about 2 years ago. The whole Madison thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. There's another super chat in as well, boys, from Luke. And Luke says, my backup option would be Muniz. If we can get him away from precious London. Can't see him being mega money, and he'd probably be okay as a squad player. Yeah, with someone we did look at actually go back a couple of weeks ago.
Well, Leeds have had a bid rejected for I think around 28 million that they put in for him, and apparently Fulham wanted close to 40. So the point that you made, Luke, you might have missed that one with regards to Leeds being linked, but yeah, wanting 40 from I think puts us out of that bracket of getting him. I don't think Newcastle. I just don't think he's worth that sort of fee. I think Muniz, 25 million, 30 at a push. I think that's a fair deal. Anything above that, I think, is too much. He's got potential, but yeah, I think if you're pushing that sort of figure, I think that's where Newcastle will walk away. There's a few players that would, a few people on social media that are talking about the Athletic Bilbao, or Athletic Club is what they refer to as well. Attacking midfielder, is it Sanket? Plays in the attacking midfield role.
Yeah,
he had a really good season last season, and caught a couple of injuries that took him out of a few key games. But I think he got something like 15 goals last season from attacking midfield. Now, he doesn't play a striker role, but he plays he can play midfield and play in attacking midfield. Likes to kind of get into the box and score goals. He might be a player that Newcastle look at, but and I'm only saying that because a few people have mentioned it on socials, and he's a good player. He's a player that I think if we had the choice of like a Simons or someone like him, I think most Newcastle fans would go for Xavi Simons. But I'm just trying to think of players that could potentially play that role. But I think
I glanced at him, Pete. I glanced at him when we were talking about alternatives there about a week ago, and like he hasn't got some great numbers. You're right. I think he's about 25. But like when it was showing the area of the pitch he plays, and he seems to be more deeper kind of midfielder. But for his numbers, he's getting it looks to be more attacking. So I don't know, and it's usually kind of difficult to get him. Players from those kind of clubs actually away from that area. So I don't know.
It's the Basque region. The area of Basque players playing from. So you're right. It is.
Or Arsenal. Arsenal is their go-to then after that.
It takes a lot of money to, like you said, you're right. It takes a lot of money to pry them out. I remember like Ander Herrera, I think it took a lot of money to get him out of Athletic Club. For that reason, there's been a few others, but interestingly about Xavi Simons, another super chat in there from Wayne. Thank you, Wayne. Wayne Liu said original build report only stated it's questionable if Simons wants to join us, means build doesn't know his preference. So that would change things, and that's why we say that. Do we believe the reports that are out there and what's actually been reported? Do we know for sure? From what Wayne's saying, it's not dead set that he's rejected Newcastle. We got misled by social media claims that he's rejected us. So clearly it seems like we have. Thank you for that, Wayne. Want to keep an eye on that one, boys. You know, it's not dead set. Jeannie Esther with the super chat in there. Thank you, Jeannie Esther, as always. Liga is like a gold mine. When's Lee coming on? Lee will be coming on. He'll definitely be coming on soon. Like we will sort it out. And I've already spoken to him. I said to the boys the other night, we've already spoken to him. But it's got to be right. It's got to be the right time to get him on. There's not really been like any significant movement on players to bring Lee on. I tell you what, like we were talking about last night, but we've got some guests lined up. We've got some right guests lined up for Loaded Mag NUFC. You people in the chat, right, are in for a treat. We've got some fantastic guests lined up. But obviously, we want to get them on at the right time. We want to make sure that there's excitement, things to talk about, and it looks like we're getting into that season. So just hold on to your hats.
Can I bring one player up who we've spoken about?
Before you do, Chris.
Go on.
Before you do, Chris, I just want to say something to Jeannie Esther. I see the good work you're doing in the chat, Jeannie Esther, trying to get those likes up. Smash that like, everybody. Jeannie Esther, you just got a promotion. You're now a mod as well. Nice one, Jeannie Esther.
Ledge.
From Jeannie.
What are the likes? Just out of interest. What are we at?
No idea.
Oh, we're just under 300. So we've had 700 plus in the chat tonight. Let's get us up to 350 before we leave. Come on. You know, it makes sense, people. But thank you for coming and joining the late night show. Sorry, Daz. Go for it.
No, sorry, Chris.
Oh, Chris, sorry. Go.
Oh no, it was a name that we brought up previously. and I've just had a little check on him. Didn't have the best of seasons last season, but still only 19 years old. And I'm just thinking he would fit the profile. Youngster, playing in the Turkish league. No. playing in the Turkish league. This guy. Just made me think. If we're looking to bring in, and his name's not really Kilroy, by the way, for anyone who's wondering who the hell Kilroy is, it's Kiliksoy. And he's a player who we've spoken about previously. Been likened. I'm not saying he was likened by me, but been likened to an Sergio Aguero type player.
Does look like him. So.
You could forgive that, I suppose, to a degree, because he's kind of built the same way, if you like. But an exciting prospect, and probably someone who wouldn't cost you mega money. And I would imagine if you were trying to tempt him out of the Turkish league, he would be the type of player that I'd be interested in, purely because I think you'd probably be talking 20 million pound, maybe something like that, 25 million perhaps. So it wouldn't break the bank, and he would definitely be a project player. But maybe Steve Nixon, Eddie Howe, Andy Howe, they're going to be looking at those type of markets where you mentioned, Pete, about bringing in a player who's got a bit of potential but needs a bit of work, but can still come in. Not to the point where he can't play, as in, he's not ready, but, a player who can come in and still effectively do a job. That's kind of where we need to be with the striker. So that if Alexander Isak's out, or if Alexander Isak needs a vest, that's a great show.
Because if the bot.
I'd much rather Kiliksoy come to us than Tammy Abrams, and it'd have been a decent option, but yeah, could it be a little mate?
Plenty of times to come to us.
Yeah. Under the Rapper era, when he chose to go to Swansea instead of come to us. Yeah, you know what? Actually, get in the bin, Tammy. Get in the bin. Go on, get in the bin.
But good show, Chris. Look, I'm sure Eddie and the crew are aware. If we're extracting other lads from Turkey and from obscure signings, I'm sure they're well aware of Kilishoy and what he can do. So, is his like height and style in that sense? Is it something that Eddie would go for? Or do you want like more of a taller type player, someone that's as high as us, of course, tall as us,
of course.
Yeah. Minnesota Mag with another super chat in there. Everyone mentions backup sitting on the bench, second fiddle. It's not 1980 with one sub. Eddie Howe swaps front three, 60, 70 minutes. 3 games a week. There's plenty. But we've been saying that all summer so far. Is that like these players will get plenty of game time? They'll get plenty of minutes. Like, look, even with the Pedro situation, there's so many fans when we're linked with him. Oh, he's not going to come and play second fiddle to Isak. He's going to play a lot of games. Whoever comes in, whoever the guy is that comes in, is going to play a lot of minutes. It's like saying, Elanga's going to come in, but Murphy's going to start every week. No, he's not, because they'll rotate. You look at the biggest squads and the best teams. You look at Chelsea. You look at Man City with big squads, lots of players to choose from. They just mix and match. They just rotate. They've got some games where they've got the likes of Diaz and Stones on the bench in big games, and they bring them on with 10, 15 minutes to go, and they'll be playing Nathan Ake instead and Gavardio. This is what you need to build to. If you want to be a team that's challenging these players, these clubs, and fighting on forefront, you have to buy good players, more than one in one position. Barnes and Gordon. See the example of that. So,
I'm extracting Chelsea from the example you gave there, Pete, because when the player comes on for Chelsea, the other player comes off, they're shaking hands. It's like, nice to meet you. There's so many players that they've got, as we found out as well.
Or you're getting slapped on the back of the head in the back. Right? Pedro was. It is not happy about it. Yeah, he was not happy at all. I thought, you deserve that. I wish I was there on the back to give him one of those for joining them. But yeah, serves you right. Serves you right. But yeah. Well, where are we going to go next, boys? Where are we going to go next?
We're going to go to bed.
Yes, I think that's a good place to kind of finish on. But look, we're gonna go and get some loaded shut eye with the trophy in hand. But look, I think it's really important to say before we leave people, all the good stuff, smash the likes, all the rest of it. But it's so nice to actually be talking about something positive regarding Newcastle United that looks like it's going to come to fruition. I think it's been great for us tonight for the hour and 15 to be able to talk to you about a deal or a bid that's going in, a deal that's looking likely, and the potential for us to actually sign a player for the first time in 3 windows. So for us, I think that's probably our biggest takeaway tonight, that we could be talking about a player coming in, and we will be back when
tomorrow.
Talking of takeaways. I think we should set ourselves a little bit of homework, a little bit of thinking before you go to sleep, okay? Because I like this from the voice troll. I think it's a really interesting message. And he puts, after the Elanga signs, for me, our most important signing will be a player who can open up defences. A lot of clubs sit deep against us now, and we struggle to break down the low block. Now, a lot of people in the chat have been saying, is Anthony Elanga the man who can unlock that low block? We know he's got the pace, but when the team are pushed back and Newcastle are pushed forwards, is Anthony Elanga the one who's going to be able to do that, defense unlocking pass, or do that little shift of his legs in order to get past the player? So a little bit of homework for us all, boys, and maybe we can bring it to the next show. Think about a player, maybe a playmaker, because Pete, I think you mentioned it a few weeks ago, about if a Willock or a Longstaff were going to go, we would potentially bring in a number 8 or a number 10, however you want to call it. Maybe we'll have a little think. And people in the chat, in time for the next show, bring your number 8s, your number 10s, or your hybrids. Bring them and let us know who you think, in answer to the voice troll, who you think would be a player Newcastle should be looking for in terms of trying to unlock defences, which is what hopefully we'll do loads of next season.
Yeah,
don't even think about saying TCL. Not listening to you.
Well, fortunately for you, Dad, he doesn't play in a 10, and he doesn't play.
I know.
That's the positive thing.
He doesn't play in black and white.
But for me, that's what we need. We need that person to unlock the defenses. Someone that can play in an 8 if needed be, but someone that's dominantly playing in a 10. If you look, just really quickly, if you look at the way Newcastle set up in games, sometimes when the game's kind of stopped and you're looking 20, 30 minutes in, or 50, 60 minutes in, and the game's kind of stopped and they're all in position, 9 times out of 10, you've got Joe Linton that's standing in a number 10 position, or Joe Willock that's standing in a number 10 position. That's their starting point. They'll get around the pitch and they'll defend and get back and do whatever, but normally that's their starting point. But you look at those 2 players and they give you a lot of energy. They'll run around for you. It'd probably be the guy. But what they don't unlock doors. For all the running they do and all the running power and strength and defensive work that Joe Linton does and Willock's running power, they don't unlock defenses. That's why I thought Xavi Simons could be the guy, but could be somebody else. And I think people have given some other suggestions. So, it'd be worth having a conversation on that.
Definitely.
Radio boys and chatters.
See
you probably tomorrow. Hopefully. See you then. Good night.